Let's get honest for a second. Most of us have been taught to chase a certain idea of love, a checklist, a type: tall, successful, funny, driven, has a good job, dresses well, charms your friends, knows how to order wine. The type we build in our minds is like a dream character we hope will walk into our lives and fix everything. But here's the truth. Your type isn't always your person. Sometimes your type is just a pattern. And sometimes that pattern is based on pain, not purpose. It's shaped by who gave you attention when you were young, who made you feel seen, or more often, who made you feel like you had to earn love. So you chase what feels familiar, the aloof, emotionally unavailable person who gives you just enough to keep you hoping, the charismatic one who can work a room but disappears when it's time for depth, the person who feels like a challenge because somewhere deep down you believe love has to be earned through suffering. But what if your type is the thing keeping you stuck? What if the reason you keep ending up in the same place with the same pain, the same doubt, the same ache is because you've been chasing an image instead of building connection? Your person doesn't always come wrapped in the packaging you expect. They may not fit your type. They may not text the exact way you want or look like someone off your Instagram feed, but they'll feel different, grounded, honest, consistent. They'll make love feel peaceful instead of chaotic. But you'll never spot that kind of person if you're only looking for fireworks. Because real love often comes quietly. It doesn't shout for attention. It shows up calmly every day. It grows through presence, not pressure, through safety, not suspense. You don't attract your person by performing. You don't attract them by twisting yourself to fit someone else's mold. You attract them by getting aligned with you, with your values, with your truth, with the kind of relationship that honors your growth, not just your appearance. So if you're tired of being heartbroken over the same story with a different name, take a step back. Look at what you're drawn to. Ask yourself, is this actually what I want or just what I'm used to? Be brave enough to stop chasing the familiar, because familiar isn't always healthy. Start focusing less on finding someone who checks every box and more on someone who feels right in your presence. The one who makes you feel safe to speak, to rest, to laugh without pretense. That's your person. And most of all, become someone who would attract that. Not by being perfect, but by being real, by raising your standards, not your volume, by being bold enough to say, I'm done chasing, I'm ready to receive. When you stop chasing your type, you start attracting your truth. And that's where love finally finds you. Let's get brutally honest. Most of us are chasing a type that has nothing to do with what we actually need in a relationship. We chase what feels familiar, not what fulfills us. And that's where the problem starts. You say you want someone confident, but you chase arrogance. You say you want emotional connection, but you keep going after the person who only shows up when it's convenient. You say you want commitment, but you feel drawn to people who make you constantly question your place in their life. Why? Because your type is often built out of habit, not intention, out of early experiences, unresolved patterns, or even pain you haven't processed yet. Think about it. If the first people who ever made you feel loved were inconsistent, emotionally unavailable, or made you earn their affection, you're going to find that dynamic weirdly attractive later in life. Not because it's healthy, but because it's familiar, and familiarity feels safe, even when it's painful. But here's the breakthrough. Just because it feels normal doesn't mean it's right for you. Familiar doesn't equal fulfilling. You might keep saying, I just have a type, like it's some romantic preference, but ask yourself, is this type actually working for me? Or has it just become the loop I'm stuck in? But here's the truth. Your type might be keeping you from meeting your person, because your person might not look like what you expect. They might not have the exact personality traits you've always chased, but they'll feel different in the best way. They'll make your nervous system relax instead of making your heart race out of anxiety. They'll give you clarity, not confusion. and they'll be emotionally consistent, not emotionally chaotic. But in order to recognize them, you have to get out of the trance of what you think love should look like. You'll need to stop glorifying the struggle. Stop equating emotional distance with mystery. Stop mistaking emotional unavailability for challenge or passion. Real connection doesn't leave you guessing. Your type may check all the boxes, but if they can't hold space for you, show up for you, or grow with you, what are you really holding on to? Instead of asking, are they my type? Start asking, do they make me feel safe, seen, respected, inspired? Because your person won't just stimulate your attraction, they'll expand your peace. And peace isn't boring. Peace is power. Peace is presence. Peace is the thing that allows you to finally stop trying so hard to be enough, because the right person will already see your value. So if you're serious about real love, stop chasing the version of love you used to want. Stop chasing a story, a fantasy, a ghost of what once felt exciting. Start paying attention to how someone makes you feel, not just how they look or what they say. That's where you begin attracting your person, not your pattern. Let's talk about something most people never stop to think about. We don't just attract what we want, we attract what we repeat. And what we repeat becomes our prison. If you keep finding yourself in the same kind of relationship, different face, same confusion, same heartbreak, it's not just bad luck, it's a pattern. And until you interrupt it, it will keep replaying like a movie on loop. This repetition isn't random. It's rooted in your emotional history. Your earliest experiences taught you what love is supposed to feel like. Maybe love felt like inconsistency. Maybe it was chasing approval. Maybe it came with drama, emotional highs and lows, silence, or guilt. And over time, that dysfunction became your normal. So now, when someone walks into your life and treats you with genuine care, consistency, and respect, you don't feel excited, you feel bored, you think, where's the spark? But it's not a lack of spark, it's a lack of anxiety. You've just associated emotional instability with passion. That's the trap. And it's dangerous because it makes you sabotage the people who are actually good for you and crave the ones who are emotionally unavailable, distant, or simply not ready. Here's the hard truth. If every story ends the same way, you're not in a love story, you're stuck in a pattern, and patterns don't break on their own. You have to disrupt them. Consciously, repeatedly, start by asking yourself this: what feels familiar, even when it hurts? What kind of person do I keep gravitating toward, even though I know how the story ends? Because attraction without awareness is a trap. It makes you chase people who mirror your old pain, not your future growth. This is why some of the best advice you'll ever hear is, don't just look at the person, look at the pattern. When someone new enters your life, ask, are they familiar in the best way or the worst? Are they emotionally available? Do they respect your boundaries? Or do you feel like you're back in that same emotional loop again? The moment you become conscious of the repetition, you give yourself permission to break free. And yes, it will feel uncomfortable. Choosing a new pattern will always feel unnatural at first, but uncomfortable is not the same as wrong. Discomfort is a sign that you're stretching past your old limitations, that you're no longer living in reaction to your past, but stepping into something better. And when you do that, when you choose differently, you start attracting differently. You begin to recognize what you deserve, not just what you're used to.
You stop chasing chaos and you start building peace. You stop getting hooked on games and you start craving honesty.
Breaking the repetition trap is the beginning of self-liberation. Because the moment you say, this pattern ends with me, you don't just change who you attract, you change your entire future. Let's talk about chemistry, the thing we're told we must have in order for love to be real. That electric feeling, that pull, that rush. And yes, it feels incredible. But here's the problem. We've given chemistry too much power. We've made it the judge and jury of who we choose, when in reality, it's only one small part of a much bigger equation. Because chemistry without emotional alignment is a fire with no foundation. It burns bright and then it burns you out. You can have insane chemistry with someone who doesn't know how to communicate. You can feel drawn to someone who's completely unavailable. You can share sparks with someone who doesn't respect your boundaries or share your vision for the future. And we keep telling ourselves, but it just feels so real. Of course it does. Your nervous system is lit up like a Christmas tree, but that doesn't mean they're your person. That means your trauma's talking. That means your pattern has been triggered. That means you're experiencing emotional familiarity, not emotional safety. Let me tell you what real alignment looks like. It's not just butterflies. It's not just attraction. It's feeling emotionally understood on a soul deep level. It's being able to bring your whole self into a room without fear of being too much or not enough. It's being able to speak up, ask for what you need, and know you'll be heard, not punished. It's when your values, communication styles, and emotional priorities align. It's when you're not just physically connected, but mentally and emotionally in sync, where love isn't something you fight for every day to prove your worth. It's something that's reciprocated effortlessly. Alignment is steady. It's peaceful. It doesn't trigger your anxiety or make you beg for clarity. It doesn't make you feel like you're always chasing, always waiting, always hoping. It shows up when it says it will. It gives without you having to ask. It holds space for you, even when things aren't perfect. But here's the truth. You can't recognize alignment if you're addicted to drama, if you mistake chaos for passion, if you've never seen what emotional maturity looks like in love. That's why this part is hard, because choosing alignment means walking away from people who feel exciting but aren't healthy. It means giving up the thrill of the roller coaster for the beauty of stability. And yes, that can feel like a loss at first, but alignment is what keeps love alive after the butterflies fade. It's the foundation that holds when life gets hard. It's what turns love from something that happens to you into something you build together. So the next time you feel that spark, pause, breathe, ask yourself, do I feel safe here or just high on uncertainty? Because your person isn't the one who just excites you. They're the one who aligns with you. And that is the kind of chemistry that lasts. Everyone wants to meet the right person, but far fewer people are willing to become the kind of person who's ready to receive them. That's the hard truth nobody talks about. Attracting your person doesn't start with swiping more, dating more, or manifesting harder. It starts with you. Not you pretending, not you performing, you being clear, healed, and aligned with what you actually want. You attract what you tolerate. You attract what you believe you're worthy of. So if deep down you believe love is a game, you'll keep meeting players. If you think love has to be earned through sacrifice, you'll keep choosing people who make you prove your value. But when you do the inner work, when you start unlearning the lies you picked up from your past, your ex, or even your own insecurities, you begin to show up differently. You stop bending yourself to fit into someone's life and instead ask, do they even fit into mine? This is the shift that changes everything. Self-work isn't about being perfect. It's about being aware of your triggers, your fears, your attachment patterns. It's about noticing when you're trying to fix someone instead of protecting your peace. It's catching yourself when you're ignoring red flags because you're scared to be alone. And most importantly, it's learning to enjoy your own company so deeply that you're no longer impressed by someone who simply doesn't leave. Because when you know your worth, you stop confusing availability with value. You stop chasing the bare minimum. You start asking real questions. Do they match my energy? Do they support my growth? Can I be fully myself with them? That's how self-work shows up in real time. And here's the beautiful irony. The more you do the inner work, the less desperate you feel to find someone because you realize you already have everything you need within you. You're not looking to be completed. You're looking to share your life, not surrender it. This is when you start attracting people who see you clearly, people who meet you in your wholeness, not your wounds, people who aren't threatened by your strength or confused by your softness, because your person won't be the one you had to chase, impress, or convince. They'll be the one you attracted effortlessly because your energy, your presence, and your boundaries already filtered out everything that wasn't aligned. So if you're serious about love, don't just pray for the right person, prepare for them. Do the self-work that keeps you from settling. Heal the parts of you that thought love had to be painful. Get so rooted in who you are that love becomes an extension of your peace, not a replacement for your emptiness. Because the best relationships don't start with finding the one. They start with becoming ready. Let's be honest, we've been fed a very specific idea of what love is supposed to look like.
It's the butterflies, the tension, the drama, the will they, won't they, back and forth. It's the Instagram couple in perfect lighting, matching outfits, smiling on cue. And over time, we begin to chase that image of love. We measure the real thing against moments that were designed to impress, not to sustain.
But here's the problem with chasing what love looks like. You can't filter emotional safety. You can't stage trust. You can't Photoshop compatibility. You can have someone who looks like your dream, but makes you feel like you're constantly auditioning for a role in their life. Someone who takes your breath away and then leaves you breathless for all the wrong reasons. And eventually that beautiful image becomes a cage, one you keep returning to, hoping it finally feels like home. But real love is different. Real love isn't the constant high. It's not about drama. It's not about always feeling hooked on someone. It's about how you feel when you're with them, not how impressive they look standing next to you, not how clever their texts are, not how charming they are in public. It's about feeling emotionally held, safe even in silence, seen even when you're not performing, loved not because you're perfect, but because you're real. The right person won't just excite your mind, they'll calm your soul. They'll bring a steady kind of peace that makes the chase unnecessary. You won't feel anxious waiting for their reply. You won't wonder where you stand because you'll know. That's how love should feel. But if your blueprint for love is built on adrenaline, instability, or emotional games, you'll mistake peace for boredom and you'll sabotage the very thing you say you want. That's why you have to redefine love, not as a feeling of intensity, but as a feeling of alignment. Ask yourself, when I'm with them, do I feel safe? Do I feel seen? Do I feel better about who I am? That's your measure. That's your truth. Because anyone can sweep you off your feet, but the right one helps you land. The right one makes the ordinary feel extraordinary, not because they're flashy, but because they're consistent, grounded, and present. And here's the twist. Once you start looking at love through this new lens, everything changes. You stop chasing spark and start choosing stability. You stop needing the roller coaster and start building the foundation. You begin to attract what reflects the peace you've found in yourself. So take a moment today and ask yourself honestly, am I chasing love for how it looks? Or am I choosing love for how it feels? Because when you stop romanticizing chaos and start valuing calm, you'll finally know the difference between love that performs and love that stays. Let's make this simple. Stop falling for potential. Stop investing in someone's maybe. Stop loving the version of them that only exists in your imagination. Because one of the most freeing things you'll ever learn is this. Love isn't just about who you choose, it's about who chooses you back. Consistently, freely, without confusion or delay. We waste so much energy trying to prove ourselves to people who already made up their mind and didn't choose us.
It hurts.
Not just because we want to be loved, but because we tied our value to their validation. You chase, you accommodate, you wait, you give more than you get. You turn yourself into someone more likable, more desirable, more agreeable, all to win a place in their heart. But here's the truth. If love is something you have to win, It will always feel like something you could lose. And that is exhausting. But real love doesn't need to be earned. It's reciprocated. It's built by two people who both say, I'm in this fully with you. If someone's unsure about you, believe them. If they're hot and cold, emotionally distant, or only present when it's convenient, don't try to decode it. Don't read between the lines. Read the line itself. It's already telling you everything. The right person doesn't keep you guessing. They don't make you question your worth. They don't breadcrumb you with just enough attention to keep you hopeful. They show up. They choose you on your good days and your not so good ones. When it's easy and when it's inconvenient, they're not perfect, but they're present. Choosing someone who chooses you back isn't just about feeling wanted. It's about feeling safe. It's about knowing you're not doing the emotional labor alone, that the relationship isn't built on one-sided effort. And yes, it takes courage to walk away from the ones who don't choose you, because you've likely tied them to a story. Maybe it's the story of proving you're lovable, or that this time will be different. But you're not here to prove anything. You're here to receive love, not just fight for it. You're here to meet someone who mirrors your energy, not drains it. Someone who doesn't just spark your attraction, but meets your consistency. You don't need to convince someone to care. And if you do, that's not your person. Start choosing people who meet you where you are, who lean in, not away, who don't just say the right words, but match them with actions. Because the healthiest kind of love is built between two people who have both decided to stay. Two people who choose each other every day, not because they have to, but because they want to. And once you get a taste of that, you'll never again settle for someone who doesn't. So choose wisely, but more importantly, choose someone who's already choosing you.